Thank you very much for being with me here today and watching my tutorial. I'm going to do 2 cards using Thoughtful Wishes collection by Stampin' Up. And I'm going to do 2 different cards and beginner friendly. They're going to be very simple without too much techniques going on and not too many elements. So let's first see what we're using. This is a 6x6 pattern paper, the Thoughtful Wishes, the stamp set, the die set, and you're going to see that the dies don't have all of the stamping images. They have dies for just 2 of them. And this is the 12x12 paper that is also with this collection, and the embellishments, those dots with color coordinating colors. So the ink for the stamps that I want to use this time is we're going to be with dark colors of either black or brown, and you can use any ink that you want. And of course you're going to need a dauber and my acrylic stamping pad, some fine black markers, and of course you're going to need the paper trimmer, a ruler, and a white basic cardstock. Okay, so let's begin. First, I want to cut my basic, the base for my cards, and I decided to do them at 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I'm going to trim the paper down on the 11th inch side to 6 1/4, and then turn it over and just score this at the center at 4 1/4 and fold. This will give me a base card that is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And then you can take the other part that you just cut out. It'll be, you need it to be at 4 1/4 inches. So just take a 1/2 inch off the end over there, and you want to get it scored at 6 1/4. And you're going to have a little piece left over there that's about 2 inches, and you're going to fold it that way. It will create like a little flap for your card. So this is just something that I wanted to do with the leftovers that I have from the paper. I don't want to let it go to waste, and I'm just making that into a card as well. So I'm going to do 3 that are 6 by 4 and open at the center, just like a regular card, and 3 with the flap. So you're going to need, for 6 cards, you're going to need 3 of these sheets, and just go ahead and cut them all up and have them ready. My next step is to choose 3 of the pattern papers and cut them right at the 4 inch side. So you're going to cut the 6 by 6, you're going to remove 2 inches strips out, and you're going to be left with 3 pieces that are 4 by 6. Those 3 strips that you have, you want them cut at the 4 inches, and you will use those to put over the flap on those 3 cards. So you have 3 4 by 6 and 3 that are 2 by 6. Now go ahead and ink the edges of those pattern paper that you just cut. This is not a must-do step. If you don't have any ink, that's still okay. You can use it without. But because this pattern paper is very, very colorful, have bright colors, I like to outline them with black ink because it will accentuate their colors a little more. So here I want to show you the difference whether you do or don't. Yeah, they're still pretty either way. It's just a matter of personal choice here. Okay. So I opted to take black ink to all of my pattern paper, and I went ahead and went over all of them. As you can see, I'm doing it over a scrap piece of white paper because I don't want some of the flakes with the ink to go over my workspace, over the surface, because I'm using white cardstock and beautiful card. It can get that spoiled and it can get stained. So this way I just remove that paper and take it out. Next, you want to take you want to glue the pattern paper with all the colors and the inks, and you just want to lay it over the white cardstock, leaving a white frame all around. So the 4x6 will go over the 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 folded cards, and the strips will go over the flap of those the other 3 cards. Now that I finished putting them together, the next step is taking the other 12 by 12 sheets that I have, and these are not as colorful. These are just one color with sort of like an ombre effect. And you want 3 pieces as well of 4 by 6. So you can use any of the colors that you want to coordinate with the flap that you have, with the pattern paper that you have on the flap, and go ahead and ink the edges of those as well. And this is where it's going to go on the inside of the card, so that the flap folds over it and it will leave sort of a square over there. Okay. Do the same thing to the other 2 pieces. I did one with the purple, one that is like the yellowish green color, and the third will be the teal color. And then go ahead and glue them right on the inside part. Again, you leave a little bit of a white frame around it. Look how colorful they are. They are really pretty. And now it's time to go ahead and stamp. So I'm taking those stamped images of the flowers that I have, and I'm going to stamp at least 3 images from each stamp, because I will need a minimum of 6. And I chose to stamp it over the colorful pattern paper. And I'm looking for areas where I don't have that many images behind it, just sort of interesting colors. And I don't know how many I'm going to cut from them yet. So I just went ahead and stamped about 3 sheets that I had with all the images. This is the second stamp, and I'm just twisting it around because I want to utilize as much of the paper as I can. And I'm using my acrylic block, as you can see, because I like to just twist it and make the stamp fit in certain areas where I like the color underneath it. So don't forget that the paper is double-sided. You can use the first side or the second side. And the third stamp that I'm using is just a sentiment. I chose the word thanks, and you're going to need 6 sentiments. So pick 6 different backgrounds for your stamps, for your sentiments. Okay, now it's time to go ahead and cut everything. So the first thing that I want to do is die cut the stamped images out. And I'm going to take my dies out, and I'm putting them over my magnetic pad, and I'm going to run it through my electronic die cutting machine. And then I will take the other dies in the set, and I will choose places with to cut out of the pattern papers with different colors, so that those die cuts will be colorful. And when I'm done with that, I will choose some dies to cut out of white cardstock. So here is how I'm cutting with my white cardstock. I'm just running it through the machine, and it'll take a few minutes to cut to cut enough. You want to have between, I would say, 4 and 6 different die cuts per card. So go ahead and run it a few times, and then each card will have some of the white die cuts and some of the colorful ones, and some stamped ones. Here you can see that I clustered all of my die cut pieces together. And those die cuts are really good, and they're coming out perfect out of my machine. The sentiments I'm just cutting with my small guillotine, and I'm just cutting around the word. I think it will come out to just about 1 inch wide, maybe a little bit more than that. But whatever sentiment you use, just cut around it so that the word is at the center. You're going to need 6 sentiments for 6 cards. You can do the same sentiment or you can do different ones. It's totally up to you. When that is done, just go ahead and bunch together. Just go ahead and spread them around and make sure that you have 6 even pieces. So each one will have a colorful die cuts and white die cuts, and you just compiling them together. This way you're making sure that they're equal. You know, they each have the same amount of die cuts. You can also play with the colors if you like. And of course, each will get a sentiment. Now I'm going to cut some more of the white cardstock, and I'm going to make 3 pieces that are square, that will be 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then I'm going to make 3 pieces that will be 3 1/2 by 5 1/2. So the 3 3/4 square will go on the cards that are landscape, and the 3 1/2 by 5 1/2 pieces of white cardstock will go on the cards that are portrait or horizontal. But before I add them on, I want to take my black marker and mark the edges. So I don't normally ink white cardstock. It just does not look good. Instead, I'm taking, it's a permanent black marker with a chisel tip, and I go over the edges with it. So this step is totally optional. It just adds, I like that it adds a little border, black border around the white cardstock. But it does take a little bit of practicing before you actually do it over good pieces of paper that you just did. So if you haven't done it before, I would recommend to just take scraps of paper and practice before you actually do it. The same thing, go ahead and do around the sentiments. Again, you can do it with a marker, or you can do it with your ink, or you can choose not to do it at all. It's totally up to you. I like doing it because, again, on very colorful pattern paper, I think it makes everything pop. So now I want to put it over white cardstock and give it a white frame as well. So I'm just taking a piece of white cardstock and I'm placing my sentiment over the paper just to see what is the size that I need to cut my white cardstock. So that's how I do it. Go ahead and cut 6 pieces. I took my black marker, I marked all the edges of those as well. And then just go ahead and glue the sentiment over the white cardstock. And that's what it looks like up close. So each card will get one of those sentiments. And I kept them small. Now go ahead and add the square pages, the square pieces of paper to the cards that you already have. This is where you're going to be writing your to the person you're giving your card to. If you know, usually people write something in them, right? So you can't really write over colorful paper. So that's what that white is for. In the portrait cards, the white is in the front because it's a folded card and you can write inside. So this will just be a background to your decoration. And that's all there is to it. Now all you have left to do is take your pieces of die cuts and assemble them on top of the card. Then I decided to take my black marker and just add a fine line with my black marker all around the frame. It's just another little bit of touch that you can do without any real materials, just with a fine pen. And I like to do that a lot. So here is, I'm using my ruler and I think it's about 1/16 of an inch or something like that. Here, I'll get it closer so that you can see where I do it. And that's it. Okay, let's go ahead and do them all. And I'm speeding it up, so you don't really need to see me do that on every single one. It's repetitive, so I sped up the video. It's not that I work that fast. I really don't. Okay, that was meant to be funny. Maybe it's not very funny. Maybe a little bit funny. But here you go. If you have gel pens, you can use that too if you have different colorful ones. I just thought about that. Okay, so now for each card, take a bundle of the die cuts and the elements that you have and just go ahead, play around with the composition. With the cards that are landscape and have a flap, you want to put some on the at the inside of the card and some on the outside. So my thought process was that I'm going to have part of it popping up behind my flap, and part of it that will be over the flap will sort of go over the edge. After you played around with the components and decided where you want to go, that's where you start gluing the pieces together. And that's it. From this point on, I'm just going to keep quiet, maybe put a little bit of music on, and let you enjoy the rest of the process.